United. Welcome. And I'm Darlene Hanson, in case you don't know me. But I'm Darlene Hanson. I'm a director of training or coordinator of training for DVU, and I'm also a speech and language pathologist. And I'll give you a little physical description so I don't forget. No, I have to say senior citizen now. I'm a senior citizen, and I have a little bit past my shoulder length gray, washed out kind of hair, um, red glasses, and I'm a Caucasian woman and wearing a striped shirt, blue and beige, I guess it would be. So that's who I am today. Um, my team is on the freeway, unless Nina's here. Nina, are you here?
I am here.
Nina's here.
I
Tell me who you are, Nina.
okay, and it's so great to follow that physical description because I variations on a theme. Hi, I'm Nina Spiegelman, and I'm always so excited to be here at Communication Access Connect. And I'm the policy director for Disability Voices United. And I am super. I'm like Darlene is so much younger than me. I'm super senior, love it, and shorter gray hair, gray shirt, gray sweatshirt. It's a theme, but a pink background. Okay, those were my college colors. All right, so very excited to get the rest of our team here and
What?
get going.
Wait, what college has pink and gray colors?
Vassar. It's a college.
Seriously?
I think they changed it, but at the time it was pink and gray. That was the best thing about it.
That's,
So good.
that's hilarious. Okay, there's something. Why how they say that? What age were you when you finally knew that fact? That's something. Now I'm learning. All right. I don't think William's here yet. Well, welcome. I have Gilda from, before we get started with our topic, Gilda's going to make a few announcements about what's going on in DVU. Hi, Gilda.
Hi, Darlene. Hello, everyone. My name is Gilda Hiron, and I'm the Director of Outreach and Leadership Training here at Disability Voices United. We have two to one have nation and supported decision-making conference coming up September 11th. It's a Thursday in Oakland at the California Endowment in Oakland. And that's going to be our Northern California conference. And it's going to be from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So if you live near Oakland in the RCB area or surrounding area, we would love for you to join us. And then we also have another one coming up. It's also going to be on self-determination and supported decision-making, but in Southern California. And that's going to be Wednesday, November 19th from 8:30 to 4:30. And that's going to be at the California Endowment in Los Angeles. So I see that Eric has put the information in the chat. Thank you, Eric. And my second announcement is that we have our ambassador program applications open, and our ambassadors, we're a small organization here at Disability Voices United, and our ambassadors are so instrumental and so important in the work that we do here at DVU. And the ambassador program is open to people served by the regional center or their families. And the role of our DVU ambassadors, which you'll see on the flyer that Eric has put in the chat, but what doing is advocating for equity and the self-determination program. As some of you might know, DVU they were part of some of the people that are part of our team were part of the law that was passed around self-determination program. And also you'll be attending regional center board and committee meetings and gathering feedback from your communities, and also helping with our outreach events, promoting DVU programs, trainings, and resources. I'll put my email in the chat if anyone has any questions, but applications are open until August 29th. So we hope you'll join us in being an ambassador for DVU. Thank you. Bye, Darlene.
Great. Thanks, Gilda. Has anybody in this group signed up to be in the ambassadors program? I'm kind of curious. Put your name. Victoria has. Excellent, excellent. Anybody else? Let's see. Jacora, you have? I'm assuming you guys are.
Jacora is actually one of our ambassadors, our current ambassadors.
Yes. And Glenius, are you an ambassador already as well? Not yet? You have a question
I,
about being an ambassador? Here, hang on. I'm going to unmute you.
No, you asked to raise your hand, and I was looking for my hand, so to raise it.
Oh, okay. So you didn't have a question about the ambassador program. Okay, gotcha. All right. You want to say something
I
later? Do it again.
Yeah, I think I see also Lorena from our CEB and ambassador. So there's a few on. That's great. And it is really is
Okay.
so great. I encourage everybody to really give it a thought, give it a thought. We're becoming a really great community. It's so wonderful. So please apply.
Yes, and
Cool.
Nina helps out a lot and she helps me lead the ambassador program. And also we have William Del Rosario too, who's an ambassador.
Beautiful. All right, good.
And
So
who's
get
here?
involved.
So who's here?
William made it. William, you want to pop on just to, I don't know how settled you are yet. I don't want to stress you out. You looking stressed. Hi, William.
Whoops, hold on. A minute, William. Let me turn up your iPad. There you go. That's now good.
Hello, my name is William Del Rosario, and I am a Hispanic Filipino male in my 20s with short black hair, brown eyes, and I wear glasses. I'm an intern with TVU and a multimodal communicator who uses augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC, via typing and my iPad. Thank you for making the time to be here.
Excellent. Thanks, William. And well, so William's a part of our team as well. So today we're going to talk about, it's kind of like going back to school season. If there is such a season, I think it's now. And so we wanted to bring this up as a topic. If we get done with this topic and we want to do it, depends on who's in the audience, you know, whether or not you're in that mindset for yourself. We can always move on to something else, but it's a systemic conversation, really, and it crosses over lots of different systems that we get involved in. So when we use communication and AAC, so I think we can make it work for everybody. But heading back to school, and by this, we don't have to just mean heading back to school as in elementary school or high school, but it can be college as well. Okay, so next slide. So we've got, and it can be any kind of school. Okay, so you might be thinking of or participating in a public school that's online. I should put private school as well. A private school, a homeschooling situation, a college situation. Everything matters in the fact that there's different details for different settings, right? So this is the place where we can address any and all of the settings that we might be going to school in. Okay, next slide. Here we go. And William, you just went to your college orientation or first meeting this week, right? Did you do that on Monday?
Yes.
Yeah. So chime in. I'm hoping that you'll share a little bit about your story as his first day in on college campus, in a sense, trying to get that process started. And I have no idea what the answer is. Might have gone great, might have been terrible. I don't know. So however you want to share it. But the first thing you want to do, wherever you are, especially if you're transitioning to schools, and if you want to put in the chat, like if you were thinking about school, you'd be thinking about elementary, high school, or college. That would be kind of helpful because we can gear it that way. But if you're on a if you're setting yourself up for success, you want to know the campus. If you're in college, you're going to want to know where the Disability Student Services is, right? This is the Student Service Office, however they call it on your campus. You're going to want to know where the classroom, the cafeteria, all those nuts and bolts kind of places are, right? But you also might want to know, where can I go to just kind of have some quiet time? Might be the library. A lot of college campuses have the more private study rooms, with the glass doors and all that good stuff. So that might be a perfect place if you just need to chill. Um, you might be on a public school campus, and that might be something you have to ask the principal or your special ed teacher or your special ed support service person. Like, where am I going to go to just be quiet and, and deal with my sensory overload? Okay, speak up. Um, if you're using AAC, you're going to want to know where your charging spots would be, in a classroom or in a library or in a student union, those kind of things. If you're sitting in a classroom and you might have to charge your equipment, you might need to sit in a chair near the plug, right? Of course, you always want to be charged, but sometimes this is going to happen, especially if you're in college and you're there for long hours. Um, and you for sure want to know where the main office is and where the check-in is. Um, I was talking to somebody today, and the person that I was working with was, she's in high school, and she was thinking about when she was going to go to college. And someone said, well, maybe your brother can help you in college, but her brother's younger than her. And so I'm like, yeah, no, that isn't going to work. Her brother's not going to know how to do college. Um, and she's going to need somebody who knows how to do college, right? Because you need to know that I got to check out where the main office is. I got to check out where the PE room is if I'm in high school. I got to check out where the admissions office is or my counselor's office is, right? You got to know where all the different spaces that you kind of have to pay attention to when you're a student on a campus. Let's see, I'm looking for, oh, this is where, okay, William, you want me to read yours? Or do you want your mom to read it?
He actually has it in his device if you
Oh, okay. Hello,
all
Darlene.
of it.
Okay, go for
Okay,
it,
go ahead.
William.
I am learning as I go, but here are some tips so far. When possible, apply early and make an appointment with Disabled Student Programs and Services, or DSPS, before school starts. For me, the DSPS counselor wasn't available until the first day of school. We scheduled an appointment to meet each other. We also looked at the class options and decided on a virtual class instead of an in-person class. You may need to submit your IEP, 504 plan, or medical communication documentation. If you are conserved, or have a circle of support person who will be helping you, you will need to provide legal paperwork or sign a consent form. Ask about AAC accommodations. If you use an AAC device, iPad, speech app, communication board, request specific supports, extra time for oral presentations, the ability to respond via AAC in class, test responses by typing, or having tech support for your device. Know your accommodations. DSPS can provide extended test time, note-taking help, assistive technology, interpreters, priority registration, or counseling. Make sure you understand which ones apply to your needs, including AAC access. For in-person classes, there may be rules around taking a support staff person with you. If you require a communication partner or support, it is important to discuss the two, and you might want to bring your support person along. Communicate with professors. Find out when your professor's office hours are. You can use your accommodation letter and set up a quick meeting email to explain how you'll participate. For example, I'll use my AAC device for class discussions. Use DSPS beyond accommodations. Think about tutoring, workshops, counseling, career prep, and technology training. Already, we have used the new Student Service Center to help me get registered and set up. The week of school is busy, and they were all happy to help.
Wow, William, that's a lot of information. All good. All good. So remembering this is from the college student perspective, right? So public school, if you're in elementary or middle school or high school, it'll be it's going to be a different um, set of people involved, but you're going to have the same needs, right? Um, I like, well, part of this stuff we'll talk about some more, but I'll go back to what I liked when I get to that part in the slideshow. Beautiful. Oh, sorry, Eric, move forward, please. Okay, I think you kind of alluded to this, William, getting to know people ahead of time, right? Getting to know your teachers or your aides or support staff, your therapist, um, know the campus survivors, the campus supervisors, bus drivers, office staff, if you can. You might not know the bus drivers, you might not be able to find them, but in the office, the front office, you might want to go find out who's the person that does attendance or who answers the phone. Although high schools, campuses, a lot of times the answering the phone is done by a student. So know who does attendance, I would say probably is the best person. If you're going to pick one person in the whole main office, I'd pick that person. Who's responsible for AAC troubleshooting? That's going to be very important. So if you're in public schools, if you transition to school, a new school itself or a new school district, you for sure want to find out who's in charge of that at your new school, your new setting. But even if you didn't transition, I would confirm that it's the same person as last year, because it might not be. Staff leave and they don't always tell you. Sometimes they don't know. Okay. But you need to know that because it's a big deal for you. But if you're on a college campus, find out if there, again, responsibility is a little bit different, more on you to figure out your technology. But I would ask, and the DSPS office are there tech people that can help with my different technology needs? And then go introduce yourself to those persons. And then also just ask and say it out loud. Who do I go to if I need some help? Right? Never assume who they might say it's your case manager. They might say it's your mom. We used to laugh and joke at one of the districts that I worked with. The janitor was really in charge of the entire campus. And so if you needed help, you really should go to the janitor because everybody who needed to know anything or needed anything approved went to him. Um, so you never know who that person's going to be, but find out who is it on your campus. Okay. I'm looking to see if there's any questions or anything. Okay. Understanding your schedule. This is hard if you're in public schools a lot of the time because the first week of school is really chaos. And so, but like in my neighborhood personally, they don't put up the class schedule and for the general ed kids until the night before school starts because they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to hear the parents talking about how they wish they could be with so and so instead. So they put it up the night before school starts. And that's really when, if they say they put it up at 5 o'clock, probably at 4:50, they stopped thinking about it and they stopped making changes. So it's kind of hard sometimes to find out what this information is ahead of time. But you should be able to find out what your schedule is, like what your classes are and such. If you're in, for example, high school, if you're in elementary school, you should be able to find out who your teacher is if you're in under the special ed services, because they will have to have that planned out a little bit beforehand. Not a lot, but a little bit. But if you're on a college campus, really be kind to yourself. right? Think about how many classes can I handle? I don't know. Does anybody in college, or is anybody in college and know the answer to this question? But when I was in college and when I was teaching college, the rule of thumb was that it was 3 hours of classwork for every unit. So if you took a 3 unit class, you should anticipate you're going to do 9 hours of homework rather during that week for that class. If you took a 1 hour, if you had 1 unit that week for a class, you should anticipate you'd do 3 hours of homework. That was kind of the rule of thumb, was 3 hours. Do they have that kind of rule of thumb anymore? Does anybody know? Let's see if anybody says. Oh, Max thinks it really depends. Well, good. Okay. You could ask that, right? You could say, how much homework do you think I'm gonna, or readings, how much reading will I have to do for this class? How much homework do you think there'll be in how much writing will there be in this class? That might be, not that you don't take the class ever, but you might not want to put 3 heavy loads classes in the same semester for yourself. You might want to do PE and then a big load class, like pace yourself, right? Don't take all the heavy load classes in the first semester or any semester really, because you're gonna just kill yourself that way. So think about the class times and the locations of the classes. Think about how long is it going to take you to get from this class to the next class, right? There might not be time in between. So pace yourself. That's really, really important. We oftentimes forget. We just assume we can do it all. Pace yourself. There's no hurry. What time are the breaks and the lunches? And if you're in elementary school, the recesses or the natural pauses and the natural breaks. Do they fit with your needs? You might be an individual who can take a class, but then I got to go decompress for a little bit and just have some quiet time in one of those quiet areas of my campus. Carrie, you suggested, what were you going to say? I'll watch for you to pop on. Okay, Carrie? She's starting maybe a thought here. So, anyways, look at the natural breaks and decide, is that enough for me? A big part of DVU and our work with self-advocates is about self-advocating, right? And so speaking up for yourself and saying, this is what I need. And so thinking about, okay, here's the natural pauses in the schedule. How's that going to fit with my needs? Do I need to ask for anything? And if you do, ask for it. Okay. If it can't happen, then maybe you got to change the schedule around for yourself. But don't just sit there and take it, is my point. Because you'll stress yourself out, right? And you're not going to learn anything. If you are taking classes on any of these campuses, what time's your therapy going to be? How's that going to work? What are you being, if you're in a elementary school or high school campus, what are you being pulled out of? Because the school districts, the school systems, they provide all their services within the school day. So if you have therapy and it's pull out, they'll be pulling you out of something. And is that an okay thing to be pulled out of? All right. And usually the therapists are very aware of that and try to work around whatever they can, so that you're not getting pulled out of something, especially something very, very important, informative, and that you need to know in order to continue on the class. Know your transportation schedule. If you're going to Cal State LA, well, if you have a disability pass for parking, you're going to be okay, or a handicap pass, whatever they call those nowadays. I'm sorry if I'm saying it the wrong way. But accessibility. Oh, Carrie suggested one class at a time and enjoy learning. Yeah. Max says, when you get the syllabus, you can get a sense of how much time the classwork will take. That's a good tip, Max. Ask to see the syllabus. A placard. It's called a placard. Thank you, Max. So if you're using the placard, again, is it close to your classroom? Like I'm visualizing Cal State LA for those of you in the LA area, and you could be like parked what would seem like a hill away from like a resort area away from where you're going to go to class. It's massive as far as the parking goes. I mean, all the campuses are, but Cal State LA to me is like one of the biggest sprawling experiences because the hills are involved and everything else. Same with Rio Hondo for us in our community on the hill, and you could be parked nowhere near, and it's a hike. So figure out your transportation schedule and needs. Sandra says, is it possible that the PA assist goes to the classroom in the college to help the SCP individual? It should be. Who, Sandra, I don't know if you want to come on and ask that question because that's a good question. Do you want to come into the meeting, Sandra, or do you want to stay on this chat? Either way. Because what I'm thinking is they could look, are you thinking about it in terms of employer wise? Is it okay to have an SDP person, I mean, a PA going to college with you? Or do you mean, will the college accept that you're bringing someone with you? Because there's two different points of view, right? So, William, when you go to college, are you going to take one of your staff persons with you? I think he's actually generating an idea here. Okay, so let's see, where's Sandra? Eric, can you find Sandra McCrory and bring her in, please? Or at least up so she can talk. There you are, Sandra. Beautiful.
Gracias. Sí, buenas tardes. Tengo un individuo que está empezando a ir al college y él se siente inseguro de preguntar y quisiera él estar asistido por su asistente personal en el college. ¿Eso es posible?
Yeah. It is possible. Yes. And I think William's got something he might have problem solved. Let's see. Carrie went to school with her support person, college.
Perfecto.
You-
Ok.
okay,
Gracias.
so William says they told me it might be a liability issue and my PA would stay outside.
Yeah, so William's mom here. So yeah, I'll finish because he got a little tired, but she said there might be a workaround. And we would cross that bridge when we came to it for in person. If you had a medical need, you could maybe use that. That's what she said. She said maybe the assistant could enroll in the class. So it's insurance liability. If your assistant gets hurt or they're not a student enrolled in the class, like having an outside person is what she was saying. But she said there's always a workaround. So to come back when William's ready to go in person and have that discussion. And also she suggested that we share his IEP that shows that history of what kind of support he's needed so that she could help him build a case or, a justification for the need to have a person with him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that kind of makes sense. It's annoying, but does make sense. I wonder if might be something that we can look for a fix on, like I'm thinking maybe if it's a liability thing, then maybe we need to advocate to schools to get their insurance persons involved and whoever does their insurance management on campus involved in the conversation. What are you thinking, Nina?
I have a lot of thoughts, and I wanted to note both Carrie's and Max's comment just now about, I mean, I certainly have known many people in with different needs, have requested as an accommodation. It depends on the, sort of what you're highlighting as your need, but who've requested accommodation for somebody to accompany them. And just like William and Michelle were reporting, maybe there's some kind of pushback, but I think it's something you ought to work through, because it is more common than not. I mean, that people come and go to their classes with aids of various sorts, whether it's for communication partner, and or other things. So, I'm sure there's all kinds of, at the beginning with, sort of, it's the first time people raise all kinds of stuff, but I think this is something that is totally work throughable. And, for if somebody is already, whether like an SDP person or somebody is in your employ, they have workers' comp. I mean, there's many ways, I think, to look at this, but certainly as an accommodation, it's so common. And it's something the disability office should have a lot of experience with. But, people
Right.
put up
It would
barriers.
be, that's what I'm thinking. It would be a good conversation to have the disability services office and offer to help, with the conversation. Just like, let's get a policy. You're bringing a support person on staff, on campus and sitting in your classroom. We need A, B, and C from them, whatever it is. And then done talking about it,
Yeah.
or we need them. Yeah. Doesn't have to be every person figures it out individually. Right. So it's the person's right to ask. If they say no, you can explain what the situation is, and you can say, how are we going to fix this? Because becomes a barrier to my education, whatever that barrier would be. Thank you, Sandra. Um, Lorna or Ernest, Carmen said something. Here comes. I understand that there's a service called Tailoring Daycare that helps you at school with taking notes. Okay, so tailored services is a service that you can get through Regional Center, and that person could be the person that you go to school with. And perhaps one of the things you need them to do is take notes. Does that make sense? Comes from Regional Center, doesn't come from the college. Comes from Regional Center. It's part of your support plan, your day plan. And then that person goes with you to the college and acts as, like Sandra was asking, acts as the support person for your classes, doing whatever it is that you need them to do. But again, you need to figure this out and discuss this and share with your disability service department, so that they know the second person's with me in this classroom because of A, B, and C. Because I need this for myself. Could I be a seizure disorder? Could be, I wouldn't get up in an emergency. I would not get up on my own and move out of the classroom and go to safety. Could be that. Could be note taking. Could be all of those. Okay. Those are good. Those are very good questions and points to make. Great. Let's do the next slide. Communicate kind of goes with what Sandra was saying. Communicating your needs and accommodations. So in public school, you're going to talk about it in terms of IEP goals and support needs and accommodations, right? In college, like William's team is asking, bring that document if it's recent. If it's 25 years old, don't bring it. But if it's current, fairly current, bring it with you and say, this is what the kind of supports look like that I needed in high school. And I'm still the same person. I do have still these same needs. How you can use AAC and what helps you to communicate. Be real clear. Here's how I communicate. Again, don't assume. On a college campus, especially, the likelihood of your teacher having experienced someone who uses a piece of technology and or has a trained communication partner is pretty slim. They probably have not ever had this experience before. And so you want to approach it with, hey, I got something new for you to learn about, in a positive way, and then be responsive, answer their questions. On a public school campus or in a public school setting, if you're moving to a new teacher or you have a new teacher come in or your new speech person come in, you want to find out if this person has any experience, okay? And what looks like. What's their prior knowledge of augmented communication and of individuals who use augmented communication to communicate? If you're using an eye gaze system like Alvar, and they say, oh yeah, this teacher, she's done PECs before. Well, that's like apples and oranges. That doesn't help you. Okay. So you want to ask, what does it sound like to you? What does it mean to you? You also want to talk about your sensory and regulation needs. If you're a person who gets up a lot, moves around a lot, you might want to share that, and you might want to help the teacher understand how important it is to you and how you still have maintain the desire to be in their class. How can you kind of work through that, right? Because if you've got a person as a teacher coming and going all the time, what Alvar's laughing at my text statement. If you've got a student coming and going, you might be thinking, is he coming back? I don't know if he's coming back. Do I need to get his homework for him? And that's kind of distracting and disorienting. So share with them, hey, I'm going to come out, I'm going to leave, I'm going to come back. Or if I leave 3 times after that, I'm not going to come back a 4th time. Make a plan, have a conversation about it. Georgina,
Hi there. Can you hear me?
we can.
Oh, awesome. Question regarding teachers and speech therapists being educated on the specific program being used on AAC. From an educational perspective in public schools, is there any type of regulation under their IEP where the teacher or the therapist should have experience or be trained on?
Not technically. You can put it into the notes for sure, but it's not a requirement. The way they kind of look at it typically is a speech and language person is in charge of augmented communication, for example. That would be normal. That'd be professional. The problem comes up in what you're kind of talking about is when you have a speech and language person who doesn't have any background training or interest in knowing about AAC, and they're the person that you're on the caseload for. You're on their caseload. Okay, there's not really any rule, law, whatever you want to call, about that being a mismatch. The only way to get around it, unfortunately, is to experience it and show that the person was not able to implement and carry out your goals, and that you then want a different person, or you want compensatory time, or you're going to have to figure out a way, because the requirement is to meet your person's needs. Okay, so if they're saying, yeah, our speech people, they can meet your needs, and then they don't, and you know that they weren't prepared to either, then you can go back. It's unfortunate is that it's always, you're going to feel like you're always going back and you're always waiting for a disaster before you can actually be proactive, which is not proactive. You're going to end up being reactive. Does that make sense? But I would start the conversation right away with the fact that this is my expectation. I expect there to be somebody who knows how to work with AAC on my son or daughter's team. Then if they're a district that has a person that sits at a different campus, for example, they might say, this is not worth not doing right. So we're going to bring that person over or something. They'll try and figure out something out for you. I would definitely let them know up front that here's my expectations.
And,
So
and probably
unfortunately,
get that as much as explicitly as you can. You may not be able to, but in the IEP itself, right? The more you can have in there,
yes.
kind of,
Yeah.
even in like something called like assumptions or expectations, and
Mm-hmm.
the more writing on that, like what your bottom line of all this is, I think the better.
Right. I realize saying that you can ask for some consultation time if the if the speech person doesn't have any knowledge, with a specialist who does, to coach that person. And you can, that can be one of the fixes that the district can work through with you. Carrie says, my college instructors were very helpful, especially when I took pre-algebra. Yeah, so Georgina was saying that nobody's trained on it. Yeah. So the other thing that I want to say, Carrie's talking about algebra. Thanks, Carrie. The other thing I want to say is that listen for this, because it's not okay. Don't create a problem, but just listen and respond if it is what you're dealing with. Some places will say, well, we are more familiar with Proloquo to Go, even though you, for example, have been using TD Snap or an eye gaze system or something else, and that's already your system of communication. And then they try to put it into the camp of, now it's your problem because we do this here. And you got to remember, this is not about them. This is your system of communication. So especially if you're already using a certain system of communication, it's everyone that's supporting you. True support's going to be in that they're helping you grow in your system. Not that you had to go learn a new system. Okay, so just kind of listen for that, because we're all more comfortable with certain systems, devices, applications, all this kind of stuff. And it'd be real easy to say, oh, this is the one I like. And I know you've been using yours for 3 years, but I'll just put those words on this one. No, that's not okay. All right, I hope that makes sense. Sulis, go ahead, Sulis.
Gracias, señora Darlet. Buenas tardes. ¿Me escuchan?
Yes.
De acuerdo al comentario que usted presenta con el slide sobre la comunicación y las necesidades de acomodación cuando uno está en una escuela pública, en mi poca experiencia con un niño de 6 años, que ya estoy su segundo año en educación general, lo que me ha permitido que puedan ayudarle en sus necesidades sensoriales de comunicación en un entorno general, es tener esta conversación inicial antes de que comiencen las clases. A mí he tomado el tiempo de ir previamente a la escuela y ahorita todos estos años él ha comenzado en escuelas nuevas, cada año escolar. Entonces yo no espero que inicie el año escolar. Yo en junio voy a la escuela nueva, digo, hago el enrolamiento, llevo una hoja de presentación de mi hijo, llevo el IP, llevo las evaluaciones, llevo un reporte que da cada especialista de sus servicios a la actualidad, cómo están sus metas, y hago como una especie de resumen. Me reúno con el director, con el subdirector, y una semana antes de iniciar la escuela, yo estoy en el distrito de Los Ángeles, me reúno con el personal nuevo de la escuela para tener esta conversación. ¿Qué es lo importante para mi hijo? ¿Qué es lo necesario para mi hijo? ¿Cuáles son mis expectativas como padre? Y entender también al equipo, al nuevo equipo, porque también como padres tenemos que entender, como usted lo explicó, la escuela, el distrito está comenzando, están ajustando estos calendarios y también hay que entender este proceso. A mí me ha funcionado en este nuevo año escolar, cabe destacar que en los anteriores no, pero es algo que quería compartir. En lo que acaba de compartir la señora, la otra mamá que acaba de hablar, para mí es una preocupación porque en lo personal he sido voluntaria del distrito escolar y he observado que los dispositivos de comunicación asistida normalmente están en el escritorio, apagados, o en las mochilas de nuestros hijos y no es aprovechado porque no están los entrenamientos correspondientes. Y ahí es ahí donde nosotros como padres, si la escuela o el distrito no hace estos ajustes, ir a hacer nuestros comentarios públicos en el BOA. A mí se me ha escuchado y ahí se planifican, hacen planes donde están involucrados estos entrenamientos y es un momento oportuno para que nosotros como padres mostremos la realidad de las escuelas. Gracias.
Yeah. Yeah. Oftentimes people forget to have it available, charged, used, have the person talked with, whatever, like lots of reasons and excuses that they don't get involved. So that's a good suggestion. The other thing is just know that most of the iPad apps have the ability to track use, like what's been used for in the app itself. So in communication wise, so you could like start checking that and then talk about, okay, I'm noticing that no one's even talking to my son. He's not saying anything, that kind of thing. I mean, you could use that feature. Micah, or Makai, excuse me, Makai. I read it wrong.
Yes. So I'm talking as a parent now. I advocate for my son and extensively use the process in transit district. At the IET turn has the right comment on part of some the goals and if the district pushes back on, let's say, their modality provider having training or not. For example, my son starts kindergarten at the school where he plays. They had inclusive sketch, but she wasn't sure or had no experience providing instruction for a child of the spectrum. I received feedback that my child lacked motivation to learn. So I asked very innocently, because I knew my child wasn't tempted, but in his way and according to his regulatory needs. I asked if she had received training in how to provide instruction to children up on the spectrum. She did not. So I learned to handle that from the bishop perspective on providing training was to itemize that on his IEP in my own parents' comments and to explicitly relate that I do not see I had meaningful opportunities in creating an individualized education plan to benefit my. I would wait and ask when they set me his goals and benchmarks and where he was not progressing. I asked for prior written notification asking why the district was not providing training or other concerns. And I asked them their explanation in writing. 8 times out of 10 that was not provided, they did not want to put into writing their justification. Because under IDEA, it's very clear of the effective communication requirements and also best evidence-based modality. At that time, we not here back in the district. I filed due process. Now you have mediation, go to hearing, and mediate between the school and the administrator. Usually it's administrator. Judges who are the mediators. The situation was resolved amicably. We as parents can, it's only 10 months in a school year. And if you wait 5, 6, 7 in the life of a child who is suggested, not making progress, not able to commit, not getting the after school supports and inclusion, then it becomes so long. It's such a hard road to possibly get them in an equal position. But I feel parents don't use their mediation and due process rights. Unless it's too long. And this funding restrictions and blatant cases discriminate against people but under-resourced, marginalized communities. We can't wait years for school districts to know what to follow the law. And so I encourage you to always document their displeasure, always document their acts, and in writing, ask school districts to apply to you why they're not providing this resource. If you don't get it, it's cause for action. And it's used as evidence in mediation and due process. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm going to summarize a little bit because some people are saying they had hard time with the audio, but I think I got it, the gist of what you were saying. Of course, I can't do word for word, but that I like how you started off talking about how you want to make sure that there's training available for the teachers and the staff and the support people that are engaging with your persons, working with your persons, supporting your persons. But then also get training for yourself so that you can be prepared and be a good advocate and don't let time slip by. Get it done. And if you have to go all the way to due process, you have to go all the way to due process. Keep your documentation and stay up on it. Don't assume people are gonna, these are my words, not exactly hers, but don't assume that people are gonna just naturally do the right thing. Be engaged in the process with them. Hope I got that all right in the gist of it. And thank you for the reminder about the trainings. Yeah. We have to be prepared just like we expect other people to be prepared, right? Okay, let's see. I'm looking in there's some more Spanish interpretation. Oh, hang on. What can you say to teachers when you meet them? Any ideas on what people should, some people go, William, you might have some tips on what you've done in the past. But I think you want to share who you are and what your needs are, but you also want to get a sense of what their expectations of you are. They may not be the right expectations. They may not be like you may be walking away going, okay, that guy's breaking the law. Um, you might say that to yourself, but let them share with you what is it they expect of their students. And then you can start addressing the issues. Again, don't assume, okay? But share your needs, share your accommodation page, share your IEP, um, meet them face to face. And also I think know that you're going to repeat yourself a lot. Like you might say to the teacher, I need extra time to do my assignments. Oh, sure, that'd be not a problem. And then, 2 months into the semester, and they're like, okay, where's these assignments? Or maybe you're getting backlogged or something. All of a sudden now they forget that you needed extra time. Um, so be prepared to repeat yourself for sure. Let's see, Max, you said, from my understanding, increased liability should not be a defense under ADA. I think it is pretty weak argument to argue that the increased liability is an undue burden, but that is the only possible defense I can think of. That's a good one. If one can prove that having an aid is a reasonable accommodation modification for you, I believe they are obligated. Yep. It's just a matter about figuring out how they can relax because there's an extra body in the classroom because they're getting stressed. Um, and again, it's probably their underwriters that are stressing them out. They're probably agreeing with you, but they're just answering to this other person who doesn't know anything about what we're talking about. So we have to educate them. Carrie says, I guess I am a college pioneer because I started college, started with my talking board. You are a pioneer. That's what we are, Nina. We're pioneers too.
Yeah. From the way back.
We're going to say we're pioneers, Carrie. We're going to join your club. William
But this
says,
is,
I think, go.
go ahead.
No, what were you saying? This
Oh, I was
is,
just saying, I can't believe these, I wish I had these. These are just incredibly great, pointers and ideas. And the idea of meeting, trying to do your best to meet, whether it's the college setting or the high school setting or any setting, but to meet the main, the professors, the teachers, and also the TA. If it's a big like a lecture class
Mhm.
and there's TAs, whoever you're going to be interacting with, if there's a way to do it before classes start, but or at any time, but I mean, in advance, just getting a sense of them close up outside of the nervousness of being in the classroom setting is so important. And I think it's just such a great idea.
Yeah. William, this is a good point. He says, I think it's important to share that I understand everything.
Yes.
Yeah. If you are walking in the door, not looking and responding in a way that either way you're gonna it's a challenge. But if your persona presentation is not one of engagement by what would be considered the standards by its teachers, for example, then they probably aren't gonna assume that you understand. So you want to make sure, and we might want to think of some tips for that too. Like, um, if you're bringing a support person, make sure you're doing the talking for yourself. It could be through your AAC. It could be through the fact that your support person says, William said, blah, 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 right? Everything needs to be that I'm talking right here, not this guy right next to me. He helps me do what I do to be brilliant, right? So that's you really got to think about what's the message I'm sending. If your support person's doing all the talking, then your teacher person is not going to see you as the student, right? So really be aware of that and advocate for that. And if you need to do some new and different conversations with your support persons, then call in your support team to have those conversations and have that dialogue going. That's a really good one. William also said, I think it's important to share, excuse me, Albert says, wish more people assumed competence, but I definitely agree. It's important to share and state it. Yeah, I do too. But be real. You know, like if you have a student as a teacher, this is what I noticed in the public schools. If I have a student who uses the AAC, who comes in with a support person, who has a backpack full of fidgets, and then you sit at the back of the room, that teacher's not thinking he's teaching you. That teacher thinks that aide's teaching you. Okay. You're going to have to work double time or move. Sometimes you're sitting back there for a reason. Okay. But you're really, really going to have to do everything you can so that the messaging is that I'm learning from you, teacher person, not from my support person. You are my teacher. Okay. Because it's really easy for a semester to go by, and especially in public schools, if you're in a general ed class. Semester goes by, time to grade, give the grades out, and the teacher sits there and says, oh, I don't know how to grade him. I don't know what he would have earned. And even though you sat there the whole semester handing in your papers, right? And the teachers will inevitably say, oh, I didn't realize I was going to grade him. Okay, so have those conversations in the beginning and then check in after a few weeks to say, how are we doing here? Are you understanding how I do things? Or do you have any questions? Because you don't want to get to that semester break and the report card and then have them have that thought in their head, because they can't go back and fix it. They didn't grade your papers. They didn't pay attention to you in class. They didn't do any of those things. And they're going to be stuck. Okay. Even though you were there. I mean, it's not right, but I've seen it happen so many times. Just be aware of it. Max says, I always stay late on the first day of class to introduce myself to the professor or the teachers. If you can't get there ahead of time, that's a great idea. And Makai says, ableism is real. Yeah. And so, and and sometimes the ableism excludes you. So they think, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to be grading him, you know, because they're thinking he can't meet the standards. I mean, I'm kind of being blunt here, and I apologize for that, but that's what people are thinking. That's what the people who are not on board are thinking. Not everybody thinks that, right? But you got to know who you're talking to and stick up for yourself. Max says, I always extend my hand for a handshake when meeting people as a cue that I'm a professional and I'm competent. Good move. We'll call that your power move. That's a good one. All right, let's see what else we got here, Eric. Preparing for staff who don't know yet. Wait, preparing for staff who don't know yet. Don't know you. It should be don't know you yet. I wrote it. It's wrong. Um, preparing. Okay, so like Max is saying, he stays after. This is who said that, right, Max? Where you stay after class. Have a quick about me card or an AAC page or something that is an accommodation sheet that you can just pass to them really quickly and say, hey, read through this. It'll help you understand the kind of things that I'll be bringing to class or people I'll be bringing to class or how I'll be needing some support. Practice introducing your communication system. Yeah, I'm going to communicate with you through my iPad, through my eye gaze system, through my person doing my voiceover, whatever you do, right? Identify allies who can explain your needs to others. So think about your campus. Who are the people you're meeting that can help you explain your needs to others? And then plan out, what are you going to do if you feel misunderstood? Who are you going to talk to, right? Okay, I'm going to read this again because it was bugging me that it didn't sound right. Preparing for staff who don't, excuse me, that's the word that I'm messing up on, who don't know yet don't yet know you. That's a mouthful for anybody. Okay. All right. Handling frustration and stress for yourself can be stressful. This conversation alone is probably stressful. Um, calm down strategies. Take breaths, quiet corner, headphones. What's your strategies? Know them, have them available. If you're younger and you don't have those yet, develop them. And you don't have to know the answer. You can say, I'm going to try out this year. Maybe I figured this out this summer. If I do this before class, I think that's going to work. Let me give it a try. And then when it works, you can put it in your tool bag. Doesn't work, scrap it. All right. You don't have to know everything. Again, loving the self-advocacy takes critical thinking. Critical thinking skills take the fact that some of your ideas aren't going to be good ones. And you have to revise them. That's part of being a self-advocate. All right. AAC quick buttons for I need a break, please slow down, I need help. Have those buttons on your device. Have those that way of saying such a thing to your persons. If you're a person who says, for example, if you're a person who tends to say when they're stressed that I need to go to the bathroom. Okay, that I mean, in my world, that happens a lot. A lot of people are saying I need to go to the bathroom. And for a lot of individuals, it's coming up because they're stressed. It's not because they really have to go to the bathroom. It's I go into the bathroom to reset. Okay, that whole process helps me reset. So if that's you, then you are your person and you can come to terms with it with your person, then you might need to tell people that. You might need to say, you know what, I'm what I do to reset is I tell you I have to go to the bathroom. And sometimes I do have to go to the bathroom, and sometimes I just need to go reset. And if that's the case, it tells your staff person, it tells your teacher people, whoever it is that needs to know this information, that you're well aware that you're doing it for a different purpose. And perhaps they could bring in some more support for you in those times, right? Perhaps they could start working with you on bringing your stress level down. Just an idea. Alvar says having a list or AAC page with calm down strategies has been helpful for me because I will often forget what to do when I'm dysregulated. Good point. I love that. This is such a big deal. People and teaching staff especially disregard visual supports. They say he knows the schedule. He tells me the schedule. It's always the same schedule. He knows the schedule. And like you're saying, Alvar, right here, it's when you are feeling like you need to calm down or you're dysregulated in some fashion, all that prior knowledge might not be available to you to use right now. And that's why visual supports are so important, because they're still here. They're always here. You could know the schedule, you could say it in your head, you could have heard somebody say the schedule, but it's gone now. But when it's a visual support, it's still there. And sometimes we just need to know that. And I mean, I've said this to you guys before, but I have a written calendar where I write a lot of notes in here, and you can't see it in this visual thing. But anyways, I write a lot of notes because I need visual supports. I need to go, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Okay, and I have Post-its all over the place because I need visual supports. There's nothing wrong with that. And am I well aware of my schedule for the day? Yes, I am. But
Right. But
in this moment,
the power of dysregulation, I think this is such an important point. It's so great. And I just wanted, can I just add one thing? This is sort of on behalf of my son and one of his quirks, but I have my own version of it. In the school, especially a school type setting, the first thing he wants to know, and this actually is everywhere, is where's the food? Like, is it where the vending machines, the cafeteria, this notion of like, I gotta know where, I can get a snack or what, even if you have a backpack full of stuff. It's like this idea. And mine is, where's the coffee, right? Whenever I'm in a new setting, it's like, where's the coffee? But I do think that, again, it's like knowing it's like your own little, the thing that calms you down, just knowing about it and, and where it is and that it's there and we can have a plan and all that kind of stuff. But it's so good to think about, no matter how prepared you are, if you do get really nervous, really dysregulated, having that list or whatever it may be to bring you back, it's so great.
Yeah, because none of us remember. Today, I drove in to work and drove into the parking lot at 1 o'clock and went, wow, it's 1 o'clock already. Like, I drove myself here and I was surprised that it was 1 o'clock and I have an appointment at 1 o'clock. And so, so, you get dysregulated, and I just had all these like questions and things happening today. And so time kind of moved a little differently this morning. It was all productive, but it was very different. And I was truly surprised that it was 1 o'clock and time for me to be at work when I pulled into the parking lot. So it happens my point in telling my story is that it happens to all of us. You're not different for needing these kinds of supports. It's just people assume that you got it for some reason. I don't know why. Again, ableism, whoever said that. I think that's where it comes from. Yeah. Okay, next one. Staying organized. Keep your backpack or your bag or your chargers, your low-tech backup systems, all your supplies with you and available, and however available they need to be. A visual copy of your schedule, like we said, and contact information for key staff or family members, right? Who do I call if you're really in crisis? Who should I call as your support person? Make sure that's available to your support persons that are working with you, like make sure they know. Yeah, keeping your backpack or your bag and everything, that's really important. I know that so many people are dependent on others for their AAC systems. And I'm sure that you have been in a situation where you get there and the persons that you're dependent on didn't prepare for you to be there and you don't have what you need. And that's not cool. So, really stressing to your team that I can't show up without my iPad. I can't show up without my iPad being charged. I won't be ready for my day. I need to charge it before bed. And maybe you're not a person that can do that physically yourself. And so really having that conversation with your family or whoever it is that gets you organized in the evenings, that I have to charge this. Those are all really important conversations. Could mess up your whole day. I'm sure that 9 out of 10 of you guys as AAC users have had that happen where you're not in charge of it and you got there and it didn't work. And you're the one that doesn't have a system. Not okay. All right, Eric. Okay, so tips from today. Learn your space and your people. Share how you communicate with these people that you're going to be engaged with. Get your AAC systems ready, charge, backup, all that kind of stuff. And have a plan, a calm plan that helps you get de-stressed, get regulated, okay? Have buttons in your device, have places that you can go, have people around that help you make that happen. Factor in that you need that kind of plan that involves how am I going to calm down or de-stress. Okay, that it's not a weak link for you. It's just your life, okay? As a person who doesn't have that kind of dependency, if I'm having a stressed out day and I need to walk away and go sit away from the group, I can physically do that. But if you're a dependent person, you might not be able to do that on your own. So you need to have that be a conversation that you have with your support people. Okay. Good tips came out of today. Did Shirlise and Monica get their information answered? Ernest or Lorna? I see them at. I don't know. Did I? Yeah, I don't. I don't know. Here at 5:12, Monica asks something, and then Shirlise at 5:16, and I don't see any English underneath it. Did I miss it? Or are they just talking amongst themselves? I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Okay. It was just a conversation between the two of them. Not a problem. All right. It's fine. Good to know. Okay. We have a few announcements. That one, I don't know if Gilda's still around or not, but as we talked about before, are you here? You want to say it one more time, Gilda? We have time? You gotta mute. There you go.
Hello, everyone. You want me to make the two announcements you said?
Yeah. Talk about the conference and stuff.
Yeah,
And
so
it will be here.
I announced this earlier in the meeting, but for those who attended after, we're having a self-determination and supported decision-making conference on Thursday, September 11th at the California Endowment in Oakland. And we're also going to be having one in Southern California on a Wednesday, November 19th. Registration hasn't started for that one yet, but it will be coming up soon. We also have our ambassador program applications open right now, and this is for people served by the regional center and their family members. And the role of DVU ambassadors is to advocate for equity in the self-determination program and also attend regional center board meetings, committee meetings, and gather feedback from their communities and to promote DVU programs, trainings, and resources. We meet once a month, and yes, if you are interested in applying, our applications are open until August 29th. That's when application deadline is August 29th. If we receive few applications from a certain regional center, we might extend the application deadline, but as of now, it's August 29th. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you,
Great. Thanks,
everyone.
Gilda. Thanks. I want to share, there's a couple of AAC oriented things to share here. And so I'm going to put this one in first in the chat. And I'm just going to share with you because it's not our thing, it's just one of our partners is asking us to send. So this is an IEP fellowship. And the person extending this invitation to us is Lisa. How do you say Lisa's last name?
Mascovaros.
Okay. And she works in the legal realm. But anyway, she's got this apply for an IEP fellowship. And I don't know what you can see on your screen because I see a lot of different things, but attend our upcoming information session August 25th. The English session will be from 5 to 6, and you can register for the Spanish session, which will be from 6:15 to 7:15. So they're asking, do you have a current or recent lived experience navigating special education for a student with a disability? Are you passionate about making a positive impact for other families and students? And they're looking for dedicated parents and leaders who have navigated special education, self-advocates. So if you're in the Self-Advocate Speakers Bureau, or just find yourself in this wanting to be an advocate for education, connect with them. Community champion who want to drive some systematic change. What you'll receive is 30 hours of IEP leadership and advocacy training, membership in a growing movement, a stipend to support your participation, an opportunity to effect lasting change in special education. Okay, and you can also email them at this email address that I'll try and grab. Can I grab it? I think I can. I'll put it in the chat as well. Okay, so you can email them if you have questions. Lisa's really great. Very smart lady, knows a lot of stuff. So she will be really great to engage with if you have a desire to be a part of this IEP fellowship. The other thing I wanted to share with you is not my calendar, but let's see, where did I put it? Hang on, it's a glorious thing, so I got to find it. Let me find it. Oh, okay, here we go. This is a funky one as to how to share it, so couldn't quite figure that out. I'm going to grab the link for it and I'll tell you what it is. So here is the link. This is a AAC survey, okay? I'm going to share with you what I see on my screen when I open it. Okay, your voice, your identity, a survey on AAC device or speech generated device voice representation. This is from Gloria Soto, and there's two different. You're eligible if you use AAC or a speech generated device and you're 18 or older. Okay. Let's see. Here she says, we are University of Washington researchers exploring how interaction or experience with AAC technology impacts you. We're looking for people who use AAC devices or speech generated devices to give us feedback about AAC voices. We talk about that a lot, right? Including how well they reflect your language, dialect, or cultural identity, how natural or authentic they sound, and how easy they are to customize. If you're interested, please complete this online survey. The survey will take about 5 minutes. For your time, you'll be compensated $5 in an electronic card. I'm going to click on this real quick again because no, it's the same one. Okay, you got it. This is the same link. But if you have any questions, call this or email this person here with your questions, Toby. I don't know if this is the same Aliyah that worked at Ability Central with us. Anybody know? I'm not sure. It might be. Do you remember what her last name was, Nina? Aliyah? Remember her from Ability Central?
Yes, I do. I am not sure because she at
I
the
don't know,
time
but
she was
if
great.
it is, she was really great.
Yeah,
So
she was
I kind
really
of got
great.
excited when I saw the name. I'm like, oh, that's not a common name. And I really loved her. Um, so
Yeah,
anyways,
I think she went to grad school after
well, that might be her then.
abilities.
It might be
It
her.
might be.
So use those emails and that link. And if need be, just write to me and I'll find this email and I'll forward it to you. Oops, gotta put the wrong one down. Hang on, put my email in here for you guys. Okay. What did Griselda say? And that's for which one, I wonder, Griselda? Is that for the University of Washington, the Washington University one, or the Lisa's IEP one? Huh. Because I can write to whoever, if you can tell me which one it was, I'll write to them and tell them.
Darlene, for Lisa's, I can check right now to see if she's still accepting.
Oh, the university one. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll write to this Toby and let them know that it's not that they're not accepting more answers, but that people within our group would be happy to respond. And so I would say if that's the case, was there a date and time on this? Didn't really say, did it? But it just came out a couple days ago. So if there's Abby, looking to see if I see any more information about it, but I don't. So I'm going to write to them, check back tomorrow, and see if you can get through. Tomorrow, maybe tomorrow afternoon. I'll write to them tonight and then see if they turn it on. Great. But thanks for being willing and interested. Okay, I think that's everything for us. I want to thank our Ernest and Lorna for doing the translation, and Eric for doing the behind the scenes, and the Empowerment DVU team for being here. Thank you. We do have Michaela back in our lives, but on a limited basis because she's a new mommy. So we'll hopefully find her again. She might, I think she's going to join us next week. Or next month, rather. Excuse me. All right, you guys. Thank you very much. Good night.